so now we're gonna give it another minute or so.
No.
Huh? Oh.
Happy Wednesday.
Testing on new teams.
What's up? So we actually, because this weekend is a holiday, we were going to try something different today. And you know, we're doing different than the different that we have planned on doing. So I'm happy to get started whenever you're ready, ma'am.
Yep. Am I leading this today?
No, we're starting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the plan was, you know, usually we come on Fridays at 7, and this weekend is Memorial Weekend. Not sure that it matters since we're, you know, staying in the house, shelter in place, quarantine, whatever terminology you want to use for it. But we were like, well, let's do it on Wednesday, but let's record it and then just post it on Friday. So while we were sitting here trying to figure out how to record it and when we post it, we're like, well, let's just go live. Hey, why not? Like, that's the whole point, right? Is to be able to share and do and all this good stuff. So it's Wednesday, it's 3-something, and we're here. So for those watching, perhaps on Alleiah's IG, hi, Dr. Sha-Lai here. We're also on my Facebook, and I'm up on my IG.
Yes. I'm Alleiah Monet, for all who do not know.
So, so if you're on my IG, this is Alleiah, so be sure to follow her. She's super cool. Hey, Kim. So we are popping on. We're just, you know, continuing the conversation. If you have been watching us, we've kind of been going back and forth on our respective Facebooks, talking about our blogs and relationships and things we've learned and all of those kind of things. So we're keeping it going. If you have missed those, they are also on our respective YouTube channels. So Dr. Sha-Lai or Alleiah Monet on YouTube, IG, it's kind of everywhere. We're trying to get it out there for the Lord. So last week we talked about the importance of self-reflection. And we hope that we were transparent. That was our intent, to be transparent, to be honest, to be truthful about some unfortunate attitudes and behaviors we were seeing in ourselves, and how we obviously went to the Lord to get assistance with those things. And so one of the things that we both mentioned was the importance of fasting, because you often can't really see yourself if you're just being yourself. Like fasting, denying yourself, forces you to kill your flesh, forces you to look at yourself full-fledged in the mirror and see all of the ratchetness that is you.
Right up front.
And so we just wanted to talk briefly about fasting, like how we fast. It is not like a theological, hermeneutical, deep thing. So we're just sharing our experience and how we fast as a part of this self-reflection and self-growth and those kind of things. So for me, I fast in a couple of different ways, because I'm like Paul, the chief of sinners, a wretched man that I am. So generally, when I really, really like, okay, for real, I need to hear a word from the Lord, I will do a 3-day water only fast. That if you don't see yourself after 3 days of just water. I don't know. I don't
get
know.
it wrong.
I don't know if it's possible. And so let me just say this. So I start fasting on like whatever my first day is. I start fasting that night at 6 p.m. So I know a lot of people like start in the daytime, like they might eat breakfast and they start from there, or they wake up in the morning, they start from there. So I know somebody who in the past, and when you look at it biblically, the day starts the evening of the night before. So ever since I learned that, that's kind of how I start my fasting. So whatever type of fast that is. So I generally do a water only. Sometimes I'll do a liquid only. I have done Daniel's fast. I also tend to do, if I'm doing a water only fast, is I also do a media fast. And that includes all media. So no Netflix, no Hulu, no Facebook, no Instagram, no like nothing. Right. If I'm watching anything, it's like spiritual, like preaching or those kind of things on YouTube, but no like just kind of cool, fun things. Because what I learned about myself is I can do a fast, like if it is just a food fast, especially if it's just like a day, like I can do that. I cannot eat. But if I'm not eating and I'm just like Netflixing and chilling, I'm not praying. I'm not reading. I'm not, worshiping. I'm not doing those type of things. So I found for me, if I'm doing this water only fast, if I'm doing this liquid only fast, then I'm also fasting from media. And as a part of that, obviously, reading my Bible, praying, journaling, praise and worship, snot and crying, all of those good things. So, we just wanted to mention that because we just kind of threw out fasting and didn't really talk about what that looked like for us. So I don't know if you wanted to share a little bit about
well, for me, fasting is one of those things that I struggle to be consistent with. But generally when I fast, it's typically because, it's typically because I need to hear from the Lord. I need clarity. I need direction. I need confirmation. So, depending on what it is that I need kind of determines the kind of fast that I do. So just like last week, I needed to really, really, really get my flesh in check. So I went on a 1-day water only fast. However, in the past, I've done 3-day fruit only fast, or I've actually done a 3-day water fast only once in my lifetime. And sometimes I do liquid only. Sometimes I do no solid foods. So like you can have liquids and smoothies and things like that. So really it just it's based off, what my intention is, what I'm looking to gain from the fast. I've done like a 12-hour or 8-hour fast. Again, it just depends. And what was I? Forgot my train of thought. But I think the importance of it is just being intentional. Mm-hmm. That's something that I learned just during my walk, is being intentional with fasting. So in that time of fasting, when you're not eating, or if you're doing a media fast, which I do those regularly too, if you're doing a media fast, then make sure that you're spending that time wisely. So be intentional. Make sure you're reading. Make sure you're praying. Make sure you're spending time in God's presence, worshiping, praising Him. Because that's what really makes the difference. Just like she said, if you are, do a no food, but you got Netflix, all this stuff on, you haven't really set aside time for the Lord to actually come and sit down with you and speak to you. Mm-hmm. So it's important, again, to be intentional with that time. If you do like a full day, it doesn't mean you have to read and pray and worship all day, but make sure that you're intentional with the time, because typically you're supposed to be, you know, feeding your spirit during the time when you're fasting. So that's just what fasting looks like for me. Again, there's no one way to fast, which is something that I'm still learning. Is that there's, you know, you can do social media, you can do sweets, you can do carbs, you can do solid foods, like liquid fat. Like there's so many things. It's the idea of it is just to starve your flesh and feed your spirit. So whatever it is that you find pleasurable, that's what you're supposed to give up in order to get your flesh under control, and again to give or to create an opportunity for you to feed your spirit more than you usually do. So
amen. So anyone watching, if you have any questions or if you have any tips that you want to share about how you fast and things you've done or experienced, feel free to do that. Another thing that we wanted to mention that kind of shifts but is related is the accountability with that. So if we're being intentional about fasting, being intentional about seeking the Lord's face and hearing from him clearly, then having an accountability partner is so important. So I used to kind of have mixed feelings about that. Like part of me would be like, oh, nobody's supposed to know that I'm fasting, so I'm not going to say anything to anybody. But I found for me, that became a way of escape. Like, you know, I might say to myself, oh, I'm going to fast today. And then, you know, 4 hours into this 24-hour fast, I'm like, well, you know what? I ain't for real praying no way. So let me go and eat. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, that's that one day when at work they randomly surprise everybody with lunch, or you know, it's just like random stuff. And so for me, I tell at least one person that I am fasting, because it's like once I've spoken it out loud, then now I'm a liar if I don't do it, or you know, if I don't follow through with it. So having that person that you can just be like, hey, just by the way, right? Hey, by the way, I'm doing this, so you know, check in with me, hold me accountable, pray for me. And I am the person, not that I'm all big or great or anything like that, but you know, if you tell me you fast and I'm like, well shoot, I'm fast too. Like I need to get myself together. The Lord is using you to speak to me. So but yeah, definitely let somebody know. So that I can be like, okay, I told Alleiah that I'm about to do this fast. Okay, let me do it. So yeah.
And we oftentimes do fast together. That is something that we've just kind of started doing again with along with everything else that we've been collaborating on. You know, if I tell her that I'm fasting, she's like, all right, bet, or vice versa. So we just, you know, let's both go before the Lord and make ourselves available and make ourselves open to hear whatever he has to say, because it could be good for both of us. So I think having that accountability partner is major. So and so that again just segues into what we were going to talk about next, is how to choose an accountability partner, because sometimes you may find someone that you can tell, and then, you know, they may not hold you accountable, or they may say, I don't know, they may just not hold you accountable. And as for me, whenever I'm thinking about who to choose for accountability, is someone that obviously I respect, someone that I trust to hold me accountable. Someone that I know is going to check in on me, that's going to pray for me, and likely it's someone that I see, someone that I look up to. So kind of someone not necessarily above me, but a spiritual leader typically is who I go to hold me accountable. But sometimes I do go to like my peer group, but as of lately, I've been going mainly to like someone again that's like sits right here. So, but yeah. So let me see. What else did I say?
As you're looking, I'm just gonna say, I think, and I love again the feedback. Thank you for sharing. We love that. Is as you have this accountability partner, like it is a good thing. It's not something that we should shy away from. Right. I know that sometimes we feel like I got this. I'm so strong in the Lord, or those kind of things. But it was like so important to have someone who can have your back, but also call you out. Like so, right. it for me, it has to be somebody who. Like they ain't scared of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, does it make sense? Because I want them to be able to say, no, you tripping. Right. Or, you should do that differently. Or maybe you shouldn't have said it like that. Like, I want them to be able to be candid and honest with me. Mm-hmm. So whether it's someone younger than me or older than me, been saved longer than me, or not as long as me. Like, those things don't necessarily matter. As long as it's a person who I believe has a sound relationship with the Lord, those other things are less important. Like it is really important, as Alleiah was saying, to have somebody who you can trust that they have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and aren't going to talk to you out of their flesh and their feelings, and they're going to tell you real talk, like what you need to do, what you need to work on. I'm trying to see what Adele is saying. It should be someone that won't beg. Exactly. Somebody who is going to be like, oh, that's how you feel. Okay, but the Lord is still saying, like, okay, you're not going to punk me right now. Right. So you need to do what you need to do.
So yeah, that kind of ties into one of the points that I made. Typically, your accountability partner, again, tying into you want it to be someone that you trust and someone that you respect, considering the fact that you want to be able to go to them with how you feel and trust that they are going to guide you, that they're going to give you good wisdom. And then also something that I've experienced multiple times is that they are likely going to be able to help you pinpoint what your problem is. So like you said, they're going to be able to call you out and say, that sound like a little pride, or that sound like a little insecurities, or whatever it is. You want to go to someone that you trust and respect, and that has, like she said, a sound relationship with the Lord, because now you have a better idea of what you need to go into prayer about, what you need to come and lay at the feet of God. Particularly, like, again, consulting them prior to fasting, and then even throughout, because again, they'll be able to they may be able to lead you or give you a scripture, or again, just kind of help you navigate through what it is that you're dealing with. So you want to go to someone that you trust and respect. And then another point that I made when it comes to an accountability partner is to not be afraid to be vulnerable. So oftentimes we are dealing with something that may seem embarrassing, or like, oh, I don't want nobody to know. And that's what really traps us, and that's what keeps us fighting the same battle over and over and over, because we're too afraid to take it to someone that can help us deal with it. So a scripture that I reference is 1 Corinthians 10:13, which I cannot quote, but essentially it says that there's no amount of temptation that no one has not overcome before. So meaning that likely whatever you're dealing with, somebody else has already dealt with it. So you being vulnerable is only going to benefit you. So again, just being secure and being confident in taking it to someone that you trust and that can guide you, so that you can grow and so that you can come out better on the other side of your fast. So, or just in general, whatever.
Yeah. Amen. And as we mentioned, as we keep the conversation going, so last week we referenced King David and Nathan. And sometimes your accountability partner is not somebody you identify. Like, we're saying it from the perspective of like, I see your fruit and I would like you to be in my corner. And sometimes it's going to be a person who sees you and they're going to come to you to share words of wisdom or have, some insight or something that they have acknowledged. And we have to be open and receptive to that. Again, the package doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is the Lord has spoke to them and they're being obedient and coming to you. And so we have to be receptive of that. So I just wanted to throw it out there because it's not always going to be someone that we've identified, but the Lord may identify them on our behalf.
He may send somebody to tell you about yourself.
Right.
You have to be able to humble yourself and say, you know what? Okay. Let me, even if you don't agree, be humble enough to say, you know what? Let me take this before the Lord and He'll tell you. He'll tell you. So, again, you just have to be open to receive that criticism or to receive that, I can't think of another word for it, but if the Lord sends somebody to you to correct you, because sometimes it's hard for us to see ourselves for ourselves. And so He'll send someone and say, So you just have to definitely be open to that because we all want to grow. We all want to reflect the image of Christ. And so we have to be willing to take that criticism, whether we agree with it or not, and say, you know what, let me do some self-reflection. So, and again, we talked about that last week, so feel free to check that out. But yeah, so that is, again, just having accountability and being open is huge in this walk with Christ.
Amen.
So, what is next?
That's
you
right.
Yep.
So rebuilding our foundation, all that good stuff.
Yes.
And Adela, I totally agree with you. Like, we don't have to be strong. We can't be strong, right? The Bible says it's in our weakness that we are, not even we are made perfect. The Lord is made perfect. So we should definitely tap into our ecosystem and the experience of others because we don't know. We don't know nothing. And so having that wise counsel is always key.
Yes.
So, yes, the rebuilding the foundation.
So, considering all of that, kind of concluding this little segment in regards to self-reflection and the importance, the benefits, and kind of what that looks like in regards to, fasting, praying. We wanted to now talk about rebuilding our foundation because over the past few weeks we've been talking a lot about relationships and past mistakes and insecurities and weaknesses and strengths and things like that, and and now we've discussed self-reflection, and so now we're taking it into a new direction to talk about what are we going to do or what it looks like to rebuild the foundation, because of course a lot of the things that we went through or struggled with or dealt with may not have been like the best qualities or characteristics, or they could have been, again, those things that led us into those unfavorable circumstances. So now we need to rebuild. We need to, I think something we touched on before was reset the standard. And so I think the idea of this came from this book that I'm currently reading, and I will show it. Recommended by a friend. Sorry, we got a lot going on. So this book that I'm currently reading, which I would recommend to any single women out there, or even if you're dating, I've only read the first 2 chapters so far, but I like it. So it is called Knight in Shining Armor. I don't know why I almost tripped over that. Your Knight in Shining Armor. And I'm just gonna read really quickly what it's essentially a book on how to prepare yourself for your Knight in Shining Armor. So it is mainly for women, which that's mainly who our audience is anyway. But essentially the book, or the sentence that stood out to me, was that you want your building to attract the appropriate type of person. And so to me that meant like, wow, I need to become whoever it is that I am desiring. You know, we set the standard, we have these great expectations, but do we even meet those expectations that we're setting for somebody else? And so that's why I think it's important for us to, again, go through that self-reflection and now, okay, what am I doing to reset the standard, to rebuild my foundation, to make sure that I am who it is that I say that I want. Because I just had the thought, you want to be able to bring to the table the same, or if not more than what the other person is bringing. Because it just, yeah, you don't want to waste time.
Right.
So, okay, so I guess I'll go ahead and give some examples. I mentioned resetting your standards and your core values, and then rebuilding your foundation also involves character development. So for me, something that I've been working on as far as, you know, rebuilding my foundation so that I begin to attract a different type of man, because in my reflection I realized that me being who I was had to play into the type of man that I was attracting. So because I've had 3 similar relationships and they all ended the same way, I was like, okay, maybe I need to do something differently, because I'm just not going to go through this again. I'm not going to continue to deal with, you know, a different person but the same quality relationship. So some things that I noted for myself that I had to work on, which I'm currently working on, is being more trusting in God and going from being like weak-minded to strong, secure, confident, things like that. Because it's, for me, men may see that, and I'm sure they do, and they see me as someone that they can, you know, take my kindness for weakness, can take advantage of me, or easy to manipulate, easy to, you know, to steer in their direction. And I'm like, I can't be that person anymore. So I have to work on becoming more strong and confident in who I am, so that I'm not attracting these type of men that think that they can just, you know, come in and make me do whatever they want. Another thing was going from being timid to being honest and assertive. So it's, for me, I mentioned before that I don't like confrontation. So at any cost, I will avoid it. But I've learned that that's not good. That's not healthy, because it caused me to stay silent, which was another one of the things. So becoming more vocal, being more assertive, being more honest about my feelings. So that way I'm not finding myself in situations that I don't want to be in, that I don't like, or that, you know, are just not good for me. Also, example would be going from lazy to productive. So you can't expect hardworking man to come in and to have all of this stuff if you yourself aren't producing, if you're not establishing yourself as a woman. Like, you can't expect him to just come in and save the day and, have all his stuff together if you don't have yours. And then something else that I had to do was be kind of less of a spender, more of a saver, because finances in my last relationship were a big, big deal. And, God has definitely brought me a long way when it comes to finances. I'm way more disciplined than I was before. Nevertheless, I wasn't ready for the lifestyle that I was preparing for financially. So I decided, I'm like, okay, the next time it comes around, I want to have my own fun for my wedding. I want to have my own fun for this or for that, so that there's no argument, that there's no debate on where this money coming from. I got it. So that was my idea of rebuilding foundation. What it looks like, again, just doing that internal reflection and seeing what needs to change, what needs to be reset, how can you become the person that you are desiring, and also to just grow yourself to be a more solid individual. So, that was a lot.
I love it. She's the detailed one. Like, I'm detailed too, but a different kind of detail. She has notes. I do not. But as you were talking, and even when she was telling me about the book, right, so many of us are not prepared for our journey, and it will quickly become a nightmare. And I think that's what we've experienced, and we're like, we don't want to keep doing that. But I think, like, as we're rebuilding and resetting, what was the phrase you used? Reset our standards. Yeah, I love it. Because I know for me, as I've grown over the years, like, just as a person, as a woman, as a Christian, I have learned that I cannot keep using the excuse of, well, that's just how I am. That's just me. And whoever's going to be with me, whether it's a relationship or a friendship or whatever, like, they just have to deal with it. Like, you're just going to have to love me because it's just me. And I'm like, but it's not just me. And I have been forced to challenge myself. If you watch any of my videos, I will always say, like, if it challenges me, I want y'all to know too, because I don't want to be challenged by myself. But it challenges me to be like, okay, who I think I am is not who I am. That was not who God intended me to be. When He created me in my mother's womb, and when He knew me before she did, like, He had a plan for me. Right. And it was a plan of a person who didn't have a nasty attitude, who, was outgoing, because how can we witness and testify if we're shy? And this is nothing against, personality styles. Like, everybody's not going to be, with a megaphone or anything like that. But, just certain ways that we are, and we use that kind of as an excuse or a crutch to be like, we can't move any further. So as a part of resetting the standard and rebuilding our foundation, doing this self-reflection, fasting and praying, who is it that God actually created me to be, you to be, us to be, and then walking in that truth and that new creation that we are. So if you, because of a life, become an angry person, then you have to take that to the cross. If because of a life and trauma and experiences, you've become a doubtful person or a scared person, or, like, you're just always up and on. Okay, we have to take that to Jesus. We have to let that be covered in the blood, because that is not who we actually are. And that is not the type of brokenness that we can take to this dream, like you mentioned, or, take to this new relationship. Like, we have to take the time to be healthy and whole, whatever that looks like for you, to be in this relationship. So if you're a woman, you have to deal with your past experiences before you can be with a good, godly man. If you're a man, you have to deal with your past experiences before you can be with a good, godly woman. I remember reading a book years ago, by Dr. Miles Monroe. And in it, he talked about you can't take 2 rotten eggs and bring them together and it's going to magically become this great omelet. He was like, you need 2 good eggs to make a good omelet. And I'm a super visual person. I'm like, oh, that makes such sense. Like, we're always like, oh, this when I get with this person, they'll complete me. When I get married, I'll be better. Right. No. We have to become that whole healthy egg, that whole healthy person by ourselves. Now, you might not have it all together, but we should be well on our way. And right. I'm preaching to myself as I say this. And exactly, we must always be willing to change for the better. We're setting a standard, yeah. So that's kind of how I look at this, is we always have to be changing for the better. We always have to take some time and reflect on what we're doing, and how, honestly, most of the time, if we're being truthful, the way we've been doing it is not working. We have not been successful doing it that way. So stop kicking against the prick, right?
Right.
And
be stubborn.
And stop being stubborn and be like, you know what? Let me get it together. When this wise counsel comes, when this accountability partner comes, when the Lord says go on a fast, like when all of these things are coming to us to challenge us to be the best version of ourselves, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And so in that, we'll become this person that we're saying that we want to be, and that we will be able to attract. You know, right. the memes that go around, hurt people, broken people attract like-minded spirits. Like, all of the, we know these things. So if you really want to attract a whole healthy person, you have to be whole and healthy.
That's good.
That's my 2 cents.
That's really good. That is really good. So yeah, that kind of wraps up that one. I think I had like a small comment that I was going to add. You pretty much you mentioned it, but again, it's just important to be ready for what it is that you say that you want, because again, it's something I learned the hard way, was that I thought I was ready, but then once rubber hit the road, I was like, I really don't want to do this, or that's just, I wasn't prepared, whether spiritually, mentally, financially, whatever it was. I was just like, this is all too soon. It was like a culture shock. And I was just like, never mind. I need more time. So I think it's just important to be intentional with this time. Again, reflect on past experiences and figure out, okay, what was it about me that, made the relationship not work? Because it takes 2. And be willing to work on those things and identify them, and be honest about them, so that the Lord can change and transform you into who He wants you to be. And so I think this leads us to our closing
before you
topic. I was gonna say, unless you had something else.
You said something right quick that made me think about something. So me and some friends, we've talked about this before. Like, are we really ready?
Oh yeah,
for what we say we are. So we're talking about like, okay, we gotta get ourselves together and foundation and reset the standard and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But like, are we really ready? So if you're a woman and like your dream man walked into the church house doors whenever the church house doors open back up again, the building, are you really ready for that? And what I was talking to this person about, or a couple of people, is like, I don't think we really are. So we say we are, but I don't think we really are, because I think in the end, please, if you are watching Facebook, Instagram, comment, because I would love your opinion on this. I think we say we are. It sounds good. It sounds good to say, I'm ready to get married, right? Okay, we'll go with that one, because that's usually where single women come from. We say we're ready to get married, and if the guy walks in if we meet him and he is really a man of God, he got himself together, blah, blah, blah. If we're really ready for that, then we have to have all our ducks in a row. Because if we don't, then we're either going to mess it up or we're going to be offended. Because if he got his money straight and he like, well, why you, then what? What do you mean? How you all in my finances? I'm all in your finances because you said you're ready to get married and you make $2,000 a month and you spend $3,000. So I don't understand. So I feel like we say these things because they sound good, but we're not really ready, because if we really met that person, they're gonna, like we talked about, they're gonna hold our feet to the fire, they're going to call us out, and we might not be ready for that part. It's gonna be a culture shock. We might not be ready for that. So I think we have to be really careful and really mindful when we say, I want fill in the blank. Right. This job, this car, this house, this man, this woman, these kids, whatever it is, are we really ready for that? Because it requires a shifting that sometimes we're not. The shifting part we might not be ready for. And that's the part we have to be ready for. So I would love your thoughts on that. You say I am now because I've been working on me for the past 5 years and still now. Right. Like it takes time. It takes time. So again, when it shows up in my life, I like to share it because I'm like, am I? Yeah. You know, for people who are watching who don't know, I've been married twice. I've been divorced twice. And I can honestly say, oh my gosh, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get married. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I got married. I was like, oh, I gotta do this every day. Oh, I gotta hold my tongue. Ooh. I gotta. Jesus. That's what we didn't talk about that in premarital counseling. Like, it was so, like, all the really nitty gritty, super great, wonderful things that I love the thought of marriage and totally am going to get married again. But it was like, those weren't the things that I was thinking about. I was thinking about, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get this dress. Oh my gosh, I can't. Oh my bridesmaids. Oh my God. Real honest, the sex part. You know, all that stuff. But I went like, every day I gotta get my life together. Every day I have to be, you know, a woman of God. Like it. Right. Being praying ain't gonna clean that toilet. Hey, it's the day-to-day stuff that I was like, yeah, I ain't ready. Yeah. So I just want to throw that out there for all the folks who watching it now, who will watch it in the future. You are totally welcome. We love, that's one of our monikers, is that we're all about truth and transparency. Yes. We don't want y'all to make the same mistakes, if at all possible. Right. So I just wanted to say that. We say we ready, but are we really ready? Really ready.
Look, she said it all. I don't have anything to say. You ain't ready, better get ready. Because you don't want to miss your blessing.
You don't. And you don't. And you don't. Miss your blessing. So take this time. Just become that good egg.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Right. So now we go to the
So now we're going to talk about what we are more open to now from past experiences. Again, I've stated that the 3 serious relationships that I've had in my life, they were really, really similar. They all ended the same way. And I'm just like, okay, maybe I need to open myself up to like someone totally outside of the idea of who I think I want. So, this is really, I guess what I'll just say that from my past experiences. What I'm more open to now, or what I've been more mindful of, you know, before I had the standard, he has to be older than me. I'm a little more flexible. If he's younger, that's okay. Like, I'm more open to that now. And I'm definitely more open to, so I'm pretty sure, you know, we, as black women, we always say we want us a brother.
What kind of
But, again, I'm open. He doesn't have to be. I honestly feel like God is going to send someone that's, like, totally opposite of me. We'll see. But, again, I'm more open to different race, different ethnicity. Again, just from past experience, not knocking, you know, those that I have had experience with. But, again, I just think I'm more open now because I want God to know that, like, okay, I trust you. I don't want to place any limitations on him, because that's something that we do. We set standards, we set these limitations, we state these specifics, and God is like, so you don't trust me to bring who I say is really good for you. So I'm like, you know what? It's whoever you say, Lord. Like, amen. It's whoever you say. So those are kind of my top two.
Okay. So age,
I'm flexible with that, race, and race, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I am. So I'm reflecting on, like, all of my experience, and I feel like, again, with kind of age and salvation, like a few weeks ago we did our top 5 non-negotiable. I can't. The things we gotta have. And so we're not talking about, like, salvation. We're not referring to those type of things. So if you are saved, that is not what we're talking about. If you're watching this and Jesus Christ not your Lord and Savior,
don't come my way.
You doing what you this.
You go to him first.
So we're talking about us. So I feel like I became more open to, like, just, like, different lived experiences. What happened?
I did. We'll talk about it.
Okay. Like, after?
Yeah.
Okay. This is
okay. You just go.
Okay. This is it. So I think before, like, in my 20s, I think I was much more rigid. Like, it had to be tit for tat. Like, if I had this, he has to have that. If he, you know, like, it had to be that. And I think as I have aged, I've become more open to, like, okay, well, you don't necessarily have to have a college degree, or you don't, like, in my 20s, he would have had to have had his own place, right? Whereas as I grew older and I started learning the value of saving and those kind of things, I'm like, okay, well, if he's living with his parents because he is saving money so he can get have a huge down payment on his house, like, that makes sense to me. Now, I'm not saying he's just, like, coasting, living in his parents' basement, playing video games. That's not what I'm referring to. But I'm saying, like, if there's a plan for that makes sense in my mind, then I'm okay with that. So I think it's more of those kind of things where it's like, well, I'm open, or was open to just it didn't have to be that kind of tit for tat, matchy type thing, because like Alleiah was saying, who God has for me could be a totally different picture, you know. And I see that now. Like, now I see how, you know, God is doing things, and I'm like, okay, you know. I don't know that if he had spoke a word to me years ago that I would have listened, but again, as I age and I kind of see some things, I'm like, okay, God, that's cool. So I think that's just kind of generally what I would say about that, because Never know what God got in store for you.
Exactly. So just keep your options open.
Yeah.
Just keep your options open. God knows what you want. He knows what you need, and He will deliver if you trust Him. So, yeah. I think I might wrap it up. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, we are so excited that you joined us on this totally different day, totally different time.
Right.
If you have enjoyed this, please feel free to share it on Facebook, especially. I know it's so much easier to do it on Facebook than Instagram. Be sure to follow us if you don't already on IG, either at Dr._Sha-Lai or Alleiah Monet. Our YouTube channels, which is also Dr. Sha-Lai and Alleiah Monet. We keep it simple. Mm-hmm. I would love, if you haven't already, to check out several blogs. So at aboutfacecollaborative.com, you can come across Not Your Typical Love Story. Just started a new blog series called The Coveted Collection, which I'm kind of excited about, and I would love to get your feedback on. We also have a shared short story that we are posting on both of our blogs. So it's a 5-part series. Each part has 2 parts, so you have to read both on our respective blogs.
Yeah.
And then you want to talk a little bit about your blog?
Yes. So you can also check me out. Again, that is something that we share. We're both bloggers/writers. My website is monetstruth.com, and you can read up on my most recent blog series that I did, titled A Hopeless Romantic. It covers the details of my last relationship. And what else? Again, we're doing the short story. Also, I'm still delivering content just on a weekly basis of just inspirational testimonials, lifestyle stuff. So feel free again to check me out at monetstruth.com. And also, I have an up and coming speaking engagement. So not this Saturday, next Saturday. Thank you. Next Saturday, May 30th, I will be live on Facebook with a group called Her Healed Heart. And they, the woman, I've spoken with her, she created the platform for the purpose of women empowerment. And from my blog series, she invited me to speak and to tell my story. So I'm super excited about that, which I will be posting. So if you're not friends with me, or if you don't follow me, definitely follow me, friend me, so that you can be updated on that. So yeah,
so lots of exciting things going on.
Yeah,
we're so excited again, just for each of you who joined us, who commented. I know on my IG, Nadella, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If you don't follow her, pop on, because I know when I'm scrolling through, she's doing broadcasts and podcasts and all kind of awesome things. And, you know, in addition to sharing our stories and being truthful and transparent, we're all about lifting each other up and building one another up. And so many of us are doing such great things, especially for the kingdom of God, that it is great when we promote one another, when we share each other's stuff. Right, from glory to glory. Her last blog post is, by the way, phenomenal, epic. Just check it out, for real. So we are happy to share your news. So if you do have things that are coming up, you know, tag us and we'll share it and like it and all that good stuff. And if it's virtual, we'll come, because, you know, we can.
Exactly.
So again, just thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. If this is a Bible study night for you, I pray that your Bible study is epic.
Yes.
If you are somewhere that's opening up the world, then be safe when you're going out and about. I think that's it. All right. So we love you guys.
We love you guys.
And we will see you next week, probably back on Friday. Be sure to check out something take time. I was like, what's the name of it? So our short series, we didn't say the name. Our duo short story is called Some Things Take Time. I was like, I totally blanked on that.
I did too.
Part 3 comes out tomorrow. I think it comes out at 4:00 Central Standard Time.
Yes.
So if you haven't already read part 1 and part 2, check that out. Part 3 comes out tomorrow. And we're out.
Yay. Love you guys.